Welcome to today's episode of the Owen Car Care series, and today we'll be starting a different topic altogether. We'll be discussing the cooling system in the car and what causes overheating. And with me here today again is Mr. Dafe, my partner.
Hi, viewers.
So my first question today will be, what exactly is the cooling system in the car, and what are the components of the cooling systems and their function?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we should understand that the internal combustion engine within our vehicles, they actually burn their fuel internally within the car, within the engine. Sorry, it burns the fuel within the engine, within the car, within the engine. Sorry. So as a result of that, there is an increased amount of heat that needs to be controlled. And one of the way we could control it is introducing the cooling system into the car, into the working system of the car. Now, we could use either air for cooling, or we could use water, or we could even use both of them. But in our automobile industries, it is being built up or designed in a way where it uses both of them. Like for those are commercial bikes we see around town, it uses air as their cooling system. But for those big power bikes, they also use air and water, like just like our car uses. So the cooling system is just the system in the car that enables the car to maintain its working temperature. And like you asked, the component of a cooling system, we have the coolant, the radiator, the water pump, the thermostat, the hose, the radiator cap, and sometimes we can also consider the temperature sensor as part of the cooling system.
Okay. So what do these components do, their function? Like you mentioned, the what is it called? The water pump, the thermostat, pipes, hose. So the water pump, what are the functions of the water pump, the thermostat? Can you tell us, so that most of us in Nigeria here, we don't know the uses, what the functions of these things in our car. We just see them, but we don't know what exactly they do in the car. So please tell us, especially with the thermostat, because I notice most of the time, most cars that run in this country now don't have their thermostats. They come in here, mechanic will tell you that cars in Nigeria don't need this thermostat. So I want to know, this thermostat important in car. Why do the mechanics these days just remove it and allow it to run directly?
Okay, let's start with the functions of this cooling component in the car. First and foremost, let's start with the coolant. The coolant is the liquid that flows within the system from the radiator through the water pump to the engine, and it goes back to the radiator. It's a continuous circle. Now, from the radiator, it flows through the water pump to the engine. Now, by the time the temperature of the car heats up, it sends the water back to the radiator. So the coolant is just the cooling agent that is actually doing most of the job by maintaining the working temperature of the car. Now the radiator is also like the storage tank where the water is being stored. Apart from being the storage tank, it is also a cooling system that it exchanges the heat that is being generated from the car, from the engine. It sends it through the atmosphere. So the radiator is something we could consider as an heat exchanger, where heat is being exchanged from being hot to cool. Now, the fan also plays a very vital role by extracting the heat away from the car. The thermostat is placed between the system to restrict the flow of water, of coolant. Let's use coolant to restrict the flow of coolant when it is needed, so as for the engine to boost up its temperature, its working temperature fast. So the car can be able to obtain its working temperature fast. So the thermostat is there to prevent flow directly to the radiator. That is the major function of the thermostat. It actually prevents flow from the water going to the radiator, so the car temperature can boost up fast. Now, now you asked a question: what is the function of the thermostat? If it is not included in the car, is it okay? It is not okay. It is not okay. We've always, from our first video, we've been throwing emphasis on the working temperature of the car. Now, if you on your car for the first time of the day, if you're going to put on your car, you notice, like we explained earlier on, the revolution will rise up to 1,500 revolution or above 1,500 revolution per minute, to stay there for like 2 minutes, run for like 2 minutes, then it will now drop down to below 1. If, depending on your car, I noticed for 4-cylinder engine is always between 800 and 900 revolution per minute. If it's a V6, it always come down below, let's say, 800 and 700. It's between 800 and 700 revolution per minute. So now, depending on your car, after a while it will drop down. But if you do not have a thermostat that is within the car, it will just allow the water to flow through the radiator straight to the engine, and where the thermostat is supposed to prevent the water from going to the radiator, the thermostat will, since the thermostat is not there, the water pump will just be pumping and allowing the water to go to the radiator. So thereby it takes a lot of time that is required for the car to get to its working temperature. So thereby it's even introduced more fuel into the system, which might penetrate through the engine to the oil sump and affect the oil. So it is not even advisable for you to use
A car that doesn't have
your
a
car
thermostat.
that doesn't have a thermostat.
Okay, so that's it. So this culture of mechanics removing thermostat and making it look like it's cool is actually affecting our.
Yes, it's affecting our vehicle. And one of their funny excuses, our weather here is very hot
Yes.
compared to where they manufacture the car. Is their weather is not hot, and is not the statement is not correct. I took out some time to do some little research, and I noticed that some of these countries that they actually manufacture car, they have something a little bit less than us. They normally experience during their summer, they normally experience something a little bit less than us, or even above us. I will give you a typical example. Yeah, I like I said, I went through these countries that actually manufacture cars. If you look at Japan, for example, Japan is around 29 to 35 degrees Celsius. Let's look at what Nigeria temperature range is. For Nigeria, it's between 25 and 32.
There's not much.
There's no much difference between. Now, please take note of Nigeria on our normal average temperature during Harmattan period, during dry season, is between 25 to 32 degrees centigrade. 25 to 32. Now, in Japan, where they manufacture Toyota, Honda, and most of those cars we normally use here, the weather temperature there is 29 to 35 degrees centigrade.
So they even have
It's even higher than our weather. So where is the excuse coming from? Let's look at other countries. For US, it's between 20 to 35 degrees Celsius during summer. So there's no excuse for that.
For removing our.
For removing our thermostat. In South Africa, where they also manufacture, let's say they assemble cars there, is between 28 to 32 degrees Celsius, which is almost close to what we have because our one is from 25. Then in Mexico, yeah, most of the automobile hubs are in Mexico now. And if you check, it's between 26 to 32, same rate with us, with 32 degrees centigrade. Then in Canada is a bit lower, 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. Then in Germany is quite low, 24 to 26 degrees centigrade. Now look at all these figures I
They're
just
almost
mentioned.
within range or even higher,
Some
even
of them are even higher
than
than our own weather. So what is the excuse for removing
removing
the
yourself.
thermostat
There's no good reason.
and running the fan direct?
Hey, that
So
was even another question I was even
there is no need for us to do any of that. We don't need to run our fan direct.
direct.
The fan needs time for the engine to warm up. The fan is supposed to come up when you notice that the car is getting the engine temperature is getting a little bit above the working temperature or close to the working temperature.
Then
It will now blow. And your fan does not have a single speed, it doesn't work with a single speed system. It has various speed level. It has various speed. Let me repeat. It has various speed level depending on how hot the car may be. Your car is not supposed to have a uniform speed where we will just take off the thermostat and run the fan direct. When we do that, we are putting the fan at the highest speed. That is why sometimes when you see some Mercedes Benz, the thing is driving as if there's an helicopter passing through. You see dust, you see you hear the sound. The sound of the fan is far above the sound of the engine. So when you now have issues with your engine, when there's a strange sound coming out of the engine, the fan would have suppressed the sound and you won't be able to know which sound
where the problem
where
is
the
coming,
problem is
whether
even
it's even
coming
your
from.
fan or your engine.
So it is not advisable to even connect your fan direct. And then sometimes I even notice some of our technicians, what we do is that we tend to misconnect the fan. The fan is not supposed to outside blow the air outside the car. It's supposed to drag the air through the car to the engine.
It's supposed to collect air from outside. And
If this is the face of the car, for example, and your radiator is here, your fan is here, it's supposed to drag the air down into the car to the side of the engine, like it's cooling the engine also. But the basic reason why it's designed that way, because while you are driving, the air that is blowing through the front grille of the car is high. Sometimes if you are not blowing the air against the air that is coming, it will cause collision. So you are supposed to enable the air that is blowing through the front grille to the fan. So issues like that are not advisable. So even for car owners, one thing like I normally tell my students learning under me, I, I tell them one of the way you could learn this job, and it's not really applicable to just people that wants to learn. For you as a car owner, is for you to first identify these parts that are in your car. After you identify them, then you see their functions. You know their functions. Then by the time you know their functions, repair will not be a problem. You already know if this thing is supposed to open and close to allow air to pass through. When you notice there is air starvation, you know where to go to straight, because you know this thing and you know its functions. So by the time you now decide to say, you're not the one fixing your car, God will help you.
Stop taking your cars to roadside mechanics and allowing them remove your thermostat and tell you Nigerian weather is hot, this or that. It's a lie. The country where these cars are being manufactured almost have the same weather conditions, or higher safe
air temperature level
than Nigeria. So stop allowing mechanics tamper with your thermostat or running your fan directly. It's killing the engine of your car. So I want to thank you for taking your time and explaining these things.
Yeah.
And the next question for here is what are the main causes of overheating in a car? And how can we prevent it? What are the daily routines car owners should get accustomed to avoid car overheating? Because I know that there will always be signs. Car overheating don't just come and happen.
Any of
In
those
most cases, there should be signs.
components we've mentioned earlier before
Mm.
could result to why a car could overheat. Failure of those components. For example, if you do not have enough coolant in your system, in your radiator, it could lead to overheating because there is not supposed to be room for the water to evaporate and create steam within the car. So, if, like I said before, it is a closed system, the temperature of the car is supposed to stay less than 100 degrees Celsius. Less than 100. When it gets to 95 and above, the car is already indicating a serious stage of overheating. Now, if the coolant is below the level it should be, it's something you should look out for and see why it is like that. If your radiator is bad, your radiator could also act as reason why your car should overheat. When the radiator is either blocked or there is a leakage within the system, it could lead to overheat. Now, when you have faulty hose, it could lead to overheat. And why? One of the reasons why your hose could become problematic along the line is, for example, if you are driving a Mercedes Benz, you notice that the hose, the head of the hose, the end side of it, is always attached to this metal plate that is a bit light. Now, if you are using coolant, it will help to prevent rust attacking that metal plate. But whereby you are using water, and sometimes some of our waters has this red mud substance in it, it will facilitate the rust level of the metal plate, also lead to overheating. Then also the failure of your water pump. When your water pump fails, is not pumping, circulating the water within the system, maybe part of the propeller in the water pump is not doing impeller, sorry, is not doing the job, where it's broken or the teeth they've worn out, it could lead to overheating. Then your thermostat could also serve as another reason why your car could overheat, and it is one of the most possible causes of overheating. That is why it is it is okay for some technicians to remove it, replacing it. Now, if your thermostat fails, your thermostat is a system that works like your normal thermostat in your pressing iron. When the heat gets up to a particular degree, it will shut off. When it now cools to a particular degree, it will come up again. Your thermostat is like that. So sometimes when your thermostat fail, and part of the reason why the thermostat will fail is bad cooling system, fluid you are using inside the car, bad cooling liquid. Now, instead of the thermostat to now have direct access to the heat that is being generated in the car, it gets clogged with this debris that is being formed within the engine because you are using wrong cooling solvent instead of the coolant that is supposed to be used. So your thermostat could also be one of the reasons why your car should overheat. Then your radiator cap is something we mostly overlook. Radiator cap is and the funniest part about radiator cap is that it is very difficult to diagnose. When you have a radiator cap issue that is the reason why your car is having overheating, it is not something you easily identify. It takes a lot of time for you to see, okay, this is the reason why my car is overheating. So your radiator cap is a very vital component that needs to be attended to sometimes. Occasionally, if it is fine by you, just change it before it fails. Then another thing that might possibly cause overheating is your temperature sensor. When it's giving you wrong reading, because it is the reading that the temperature sensor generates sends to the brain box, that it will now tell the fan, hey, start blowing. When there's a wrong reading and the temperature has already exceeded the working temperature, the fan will not come up, and so it could also lead to overheating.
And that was the issue I had with my Ford Edge. You remember?
Wow.
That's temperature
Temperature
sensor. So
sensor,
it was
yeah.
always disconnected. So and each time it disconnects, the car will always overheat, and I'm
Yeah.
always calling up. And I never knew that temperature sensor is an important
No,
component of.
it is very, very important in the car.
Okay. Then the next question I want to ask you, you were talking about using the wrong liquids in your car. So most Nigerians use water instead of coolants. Do you understand? So,
Yeah.
yeah, so using water is actually bad for our cars because it's not looking like everybody's using water. So nobody even cares to check whether this water we are using is even causing any damage to our car. So I don't know. Do these things actually make a
Yeah.
difference?
Yeah. It actually makes a lot of difference. If we remember back then in our secondary school, we were taught that the impurity in water can affect the boiling and the freezing point of any water, of a pure water. So it means the coolant you are seeing, the additive that is added to it, enables the coolant to withstand some level of high temperature that might occur during the use of the car. So the coolant also serve as an anti-rust to the car, to the engine. It prevents any form of rust that might occur during the use of the car. The the coolant also, it serves as an antifreeze for those that are in cold regions. So instead of you coming to your car and you open your radiator, you notice that the whole fluid, the whole liquid in the radiator is frozen. It's best to use your coolant instead of water. Like I mentioned, to prevent freezing of the coolant, to prevent rust that might take place within the engine, and to serve as as a liquid that has the strength to withstand higher temperature above what water is
Can take
supposed to manage. That is the more reason we should use our coolant instead of water.
water. Okay. We are learning. Me, I use water. These are some of the mistakes most Nigerians are guilty of. But thank God you're taking your time to explain this thing to us. So my next question is: if the temperature gauge starts rising while driving, what should you do immediately? And how do you even tell where the temperature gauge is in a car? Because I know most people that even use their car don't even know where their temperature gauge is. So they don't even know when their car is over. Most times, even when somebody outside is telling you water is leaking from your car, that's when you now clear to check what the problem is. So please tell us.
Your temperature gauge is always at your dashboard. It has something that looks like wave, like two lines, and has something that looks like F written on it. So it tells you, it has an indicator that reads from low to high. Now, your temperature gauge is always there. If you're driving your car for a while, you would have noticed that the when everything is all right, this is where the gauge normally stays. By the time you start noticing you're driving and you notice it has left where it used to stay, pay attention to your car. That is when you should start paying attention to your car. You notice there's a slight movement from where it used to be. you start paying attention. You notice, observe the car and see why. If possible, consult your mechanic.
Immediately.
Let them find out why the thing is going out like that. But if peradventure you've driven and you notice it has already passed already, and well, it is best for you to look for a safe way to allow the car to roll there and you park. Stay for at least 30 minutes before you do anything. At least 30 minutes. You open the hood of the car, the bonnet of your car, check, see if there is water, if there is coolant. Look for, if you have coolant in your car, fine. If you don't have, then it's permitted to use water at this point, so you can drive to a safe location or to your mechanic workshop where you can do the replacement later. But as soon as you notice any change, do not just rush to solve the problem. You might even damage the engine the more. If you immediately pour in water on your um on the radiator, it will affect the top gasket. That reminds me, we didn't even mention the top gasket as part of the reason why the car could overheat.
Oh. So if your top gasket, I mean your top gasket is bad, it will lead
Yeah,
to car overheat.
it is if as long as you have a bad top gasket, it is overheat already.
Okay.
It is overheating already. It means you constantly, if you already have a top gasket, any of those faults we mentioned earlier on, it could be attended to and there will not be any issue with the engine. But as long as those faults
Are there?
persist and stayed for long and it affected your top gasket, you must replace the top gasket. It means it involves serious overhauling of the engine.
Which might even probably why you can be using your car daily, and maybe if these issues are already there, you might not notice it because you use the car maybe not often, you just use it to go for work and come back. Then when you now enter the highway to travel for long distance, and then
Yeah, that's when it will now
the
pop up.
whole problem will now
When you
blow.
now decided to take a long journey, it will just, you see your car losing power.
So always check all the when you wake up in the morning,
Check.
check your radiator level,
Check your
check
oil
your
level.
oil level, check
Check your brake fluid. All the caps you need to pour
open.
something. Just check. Examine
These
them.
ones are not difficult. Even the water pump, I think, even has calibrations to tell you
Yeah.
the level where your water
Yeah.
should be. So if it is below, always should do or make it a daily routine. Taking care of your car should be a priority. At least if you're an average Nigerian where you don't earn so much to be changing cars every year, these routines can save you a lot.
Yeah.
So I think my final questions to you today is what are the possible early signs that your car is about to overheat? Apart from the temperature gauge, right?
The other possible signs that your car is about to overheat is when you start noticing leaks within the car. Now, for example, that is why it is advisable for you to always use coolant. Now, the coolant in depending on whichever coolant you are using, they are they come with colored that it is visible to the eyes when it starts leaking out from the system. So when you notice a leak from, you notice the color of the coolant somewhere within the car, it's a sign that you are prone to experience overheating in no distance time. It might even last you for a month, for 2-3 months. It will not do anything, but it's a sign that it will just break down someday. There's a leak somewhere. That is why it is really advisable to use coolant because of the color. Now, another sign of how you can notice overheating at an early stage, like we've mentioned before, it's your temperature going above its range. That's another sign. Then sometimes when you open your radiator, you notice if your car is on, you notice bubbles, little bubbles with the system. It's a sign that your top gasket has some little form of leak within the system. Air is pushing through it, and so it's reflecting on the cap of your radiator. When it's open, you see little bubbles coming out. Sometimes it is, if you're not careful enough, you might mistake a return line that is coming back to the radiator. There's sometimes in some of our cars you see this small little pipe that comes straight to the cap of the radiator. If you mistake it, sometimes you mistake it for that bubbles. So you just need to separate that line from the system and observe well. Those are the early signs of your radiator, of your car about to experience overheating.
Okay. At least with this, we come to the end of today's episode. So we've taken our time to talk about the cooling system, overheating, components of the cooling system, and their functions. So you now know some of the things to do to prevent overheating in your car. But it should even be a monthly routine for you to always, even if you feel there is nothing wrong with your car, if you just take your car to a mechanic and let the mechanic diagnose your car and tell you what could possibly go wrong in the near future, so that you know how to start tackling it. You don't wait till when it happens. Like
Yeah.
somebody like me, every month, whether the car is good or bad, I drive to the mechanic, do some checks around the car to make sure. That is how most people have used their car for 10 years and it's still running like they just bought it last month. That's just the difference. The difference is that your neighbor takes time to take his car for monthly routine check, but you wait until your car break down before you can go for this check. They are not difficult. They save you money. If you don't, the thing is that they save you even more money. So thank you, and let's wait for the next episode next week. Thank you, Edafe, for always taking your time to explain some of this.
Yeah.
What topic do you think we should speak on next week?
Probably we should look into fuel consumption.
Okay, well, and maybe probably fuel pump and the rest of it.
Yeah.
Okay, well. Okay, so stay tuned and God bless you.